I can hear it now. They gonna call me Picasso Pete. Hey there, it's Pete with GCI Turf. I hope you're having a great day today. I got a special guest. Brad is here from Geoponics Turf Colorings.
Endurance Turf Colorings.
Crap.
Here, I'll stand by.
Yeah, let me see the back, yeah. Hey there, it's Pete with GCI Turf. I hope you're having a great day today. And I'm here with a good friend of mine. Well, you're gonna be a good friend of mine.
That's right.
Crap. Hey there, it's Pete with GCI Turf. I hope you're having a great day today. I got a special guest with me today, Brad with Endurance Paint Colorants.
Turf Colorings.
Turf Colorants. Okay, let's do it again. Crap.
You got it this time.
I got it, okay. Hey there, it's Pete with GCI Turf. I hope you're having a great day today. I got a special guest, Brad with Endurance Turf Paint.
Correct. Good job. You did.
I got it that time, baby. We're going to do something totally and completely different. Well, it's different for me. This stuff is done all over the country, all over the world, right?
Absolutely, for sure.
Yeah. Super high-end sports complexes and places like that. Just so you don't think I'm crazy and losing my mind, because that's going to be the first thing they say. Pete, you're crazy, man. The Waste Management Open in Phoenix, the Valero Texas Open, Pinehurst, University of Florida Gators, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Tennessee Titans, and
many other NFL fields, college, collegiate fields, things like that. We do a lot of anything that you see on TV. Pretty much is it's got some turf paint on it.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
sure.
If you're a grass nerd like me and you're watching football or you're watching golf or baseball or whatever, and I'm not even watching the game, I'm looking at the grass and I'm like, man, those guys are good.
Yes.
And not to take nothing away from them, they are extremely good at what they do. But who knew that they painted some of that stuff?
And we deal with that a lot, you know. The biggest thing is you got to have a good canvas.
Yeah.
I mean, the better the canvas looks, the grass looks, the better the paint's going to look on the grass. So definitely, you know, those guys are good.
Yeah.
They put out a great stand of turf.
Oh yeah.
That we're painting. The biggest thing for us is that our turf paints, the Endurance colorants, look natural. You know, there's a lot of people that don't want it to look painted. So we can give them that. We can give them the, you know, where it looks natural like it would in the summertime.
I don't want to call it deception, but in a way it's a good form of deception.
Right, for sure.
Meaning when people look at it like me, I mean, I've been doing this almost 20 years, and I look at the Florida Gators field, and I'm like, there's no way that paint, it looks too good to be painted.
Yes,
it's no way. And it's a testament to how good the paint is, and it makes it look natural.
Right. And the biggest thing too, you know, when they're put out, the turf colors are put out, they look natural and they look great. But the biggest thing is with our colorants is they don't fade to blue. So you know, even though they're out in the elements and they may be fading, they're going to stay on tone and stay that natural look of green that you get right from the beginning.
So what are some of the typical questions you get if someone might be interested in painting their grass? I know you've heard a lot of questions about it, so what would be your top two or
probably
three?
Number one is how long it's going to last. The answer to that question is it's going to last somewhere between 2 and 3 months, and that's all relative to weather. Things like that, but you're going to get at least 2 months out of it, sometimes 3 months, and again, that's all relative to weather. We get a lot of feedback and comments on, you know, is it going to be safe for the environment, safe for pets, and things like that? And the answer to that is absolutely yes. We wouldn't be in business if it weren't. These pigments are absolutely organic, so there's nothing going to be detrimental to the plant, nothing going to be detrimental to the environment, kids, pets, anything like that.
What about rain?
We definitely get that one a lot. The biggest thing with rain is we want that paint to dry at least 8 hours before any substantial rainfall.
8 hours.
And
okay.
once that, the turf paint will actually be dry to the touch in about 45 minutes to an hour.
Okay.
But we like to see a complete cure time of 4 hours and then 8 hours before any rain.
Okay. What about Joe, who runs out to the shed and runs back in the house? Is his wife going to beat his tail for tracking green paint inside the yard?
Absolutely. You absolutely want to have an escape plan, what I call an escape plan. So you want to work from the farthest point all the way back. That way you're not tracking through the turf paint and things like that.
Okay. What about 24 hours afterwards?
Once that turf paint has had time to dry, meaning a complete cure time, the next day it's going to be completely fine to walk on. You're not going to have any issues with tracking it in a house and things like that.
Okay. I've been thinking about this the past few days. How would my viewers take this when Pete, who's all about having the perfect grass, he's painting the turf? So I come up with 3 different categories. One would be the extremist, who is, my yard is going to be taken care of the correct way, and not saying that painting it is not the correct way, a more traditional way is a better way to word it. And they're just going to say, I don't want nothing to do with it. That's that group. Then you're going to have someone on the other far end of the spectrum who, I want green grass. I don't care how I get there. You know what I mean? If it's dry in the summer, if my Bermuda is dormant in the winter, I want green grass.
That's right.
And they don't care. They don't care if they paint it, if they have to roll out green carpet, whatever. And then you got folks that are in the middle who are like me, where I kind of see this side of the story and I want green grass, but I'm the guy who's willing to experiment and say, I wonder how good this will look, or I wonder how bad it'll look. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think for the most part, folks would fall into about those 3 categories. Would that be?
Yeah, absolutely. And this product is a very instant gratification product.
Yeah.
So, once you paint one lawn, especially if it's in a neighborhood, what I call a cookie cutter neighborhood, where all the yards are the same and things like that, you come home and your neighbor's yard's green.
You're riding, you're like, oh, what is he doing?
Exactly. Yeah, it definitely turns the heads for sure. We'll see it today with all these cars coming down the road. As we're painting it, you're going to see people rubbernecking. Hopefully, we don't have any wrecks.
No wrecks. I've already had one run through the front yard,
absolutely.
So no wrecks.
So,
but that's funny you say that, because this whole process, they're breaking their necks riding by.
Right.
What is he doing? What is he doing? And today's probably going to be a neck breaking event.
Absolutely. Even though it's not new to us, because we've been doing this for 12 years. It's definitely new to some people, and I would say the majority of people, because they just haven't seen it. Which is why we've been on social media and things like that. To kind of get that word out, folks like you, that are helping us out with things like this.
We're actually going to be offering this to our local customers.
Awesome.
Starting January 1st, we're going to start offering it. Athletic fields, the whole 9 yards.
That's great.
So
I can't wait to see it.
Yeah. So the way I found out about them was years ago. We put pine needles down for a customer of ours, and it went all year. They had a big birthday party into the summertime, and they didn't want to actually put fresh pine needles down, so they tasked me with figure out how to make them look good.
Right.
So I didn't have Google. I couldn't go Google everybody, so I started making phone calls to my buddies. I was like, what can I do with these pine needles? And they said, paint them. I was like, you're crazy. I'm not going to paint the pine needles. I found you guys through a buddy years ago, bought some of the dye, painted it. The customer was just overwhelmed with joy, because their pine needles were brand new, and they didn't have to put brand new pine needles down.
Absolutely.
So that's how I found them years ago. Of course, recently I was watching a YouTube video, and I saw some dude painting something. I went to your website, and I was like, wow, they got turf paint too. And that kind of sparked the interest of my brown dormant Bermuda. It's paper sack brown. I want it green, and I'm not going to overseed it with rye again, because those of you who've been watching me, you know what the rye did to my Bermuda last year. So we're going to paint this joint and see what happens and roll with it.
Let's do it.
All right. I'm anal about that, watching that number tick. 'Cause I can't tell you how many times I've been filming and I'll be talking and chatting.
Right.
And then go look at the camera and I'm like, dang. I got to redo all that.
Color, you know, a lot of it comes down to personal preference.
Mm-hmm.
The thing about green, the color green, is a lot of people see green differently.
Yeah.
So that's why we actually offer 3 different colors.
Okay.
We have our Endurant Perennial Rye, which is the more yellowy, more towards the limey side of green.
And when you, I want to clarify that, when you say yellowy, you're not talking about the color of your hat. You're talking about it's still a vibrant
green, but it's more towards the yellow side of
kind
green.
of off color.
Exactly,
green.
yeah. That's probably our most common color when it comes to landscape.
Okay.
It's a very forgiving color, meaning you can put, you know, you don't want to, but if you do put more product down than you typically would want to on the turf, it doesn't get artificial.
Yeah, you're not going to have something
exactly.
fake.
Yeah, it just gets more and more green.
Okay.
Then on the other end of green, the more darker tones of green, we have our Endurant Fairway, and it's a very rich dark green. And then right in the middle of those two, we have our Endurant Premium. It's got that very natural green look to it. And so today we're going to be using the Endurant Premium. It'll give you a really nice summertime Bermuda look on this dormant turf.
Okay.
It's a very natural middle of the road green.
So what's a typical rate? Like in lawn care, I'm always preaching and dealing with per thousand. Everything's per 1,000 square feet. So is this a ratio mix or is this more of a ounce per 1,000 mix?
The biggest thing with our Endurant turf color is the mix ratio. That's going to give you the most longevity as well as the best look and how well this product is going to stay on the leaf blade. If you over dilute the product, you're probably not going to see a much difference in color, but you would see a difference in how long the product lasts.
Gotcha.
Because you're over diluting the binder in the paint, and that's what, again, adheres it to the leaf blade. So exactly.
That makes perfect sense.
So what we're going to be doing today is we actually, if guys are going to be hand gunning or hand wanting anything, we actually let you go up to a 20-to-1 mix ratio. So we're going to do 6 ounces to every gallon of water.
Wow, that's all?
That's it.
Picasso Pete.
If you're going to be doing spraying it out of a machine, whether it's a boom sprayer or anything like that particular machine that sprays a calibrated rate, then we want you to go 8 ounces to every gallon of water. And the reason being is when you're hand gunning or hand wanting or anything like that, your eye likes to see more green.
Yeah.
So that's why we allow the guys that are hand gunning or hand wanting to go to a 6 ounce per gallon.
Because naturally
you're putting more product out.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
So any backpack sprayer works?
We typically like to use the battery operated backpack sprayers because it puts out a consistent spray. This is very important when you're spraying turf. So what we're going to do is I have this backpack filled pretty much like 3/4 of the way. We're going to go ahead and add our paint at this point. You don't want to fill it all the way up because you want to be able to shake it in your backpack.
Right.
So you got to have that space, kind of available. This product probably hasn't been sitting very long, but
you want to shake
it's just like paint, and not the chemistry of it, but it will settle just like paint that you get from any home improvement.
That's any chemical, fertilizer, weed control, anything. You always shake your jug first.
And you will get some green on you, so I definitely suggest wearing some old clothes or some green boots. So what we're going to do is a 4-gallon backpack sprayer. And again, we're going to go 6 ounces to every gallon.
So about 24 ounces.
24 ounces in this particular backpack.
We can't put 40 in there. Picasso Pete.
You could.
Darker the better, baby. Right. No, we're gonna do it spot on and see what happens there.
So the mix ratio stays the same, but you control your rate with how much you're actually putting on the ground.
Yeah.
Right.
If you want it a little darker, then you walk a little slower.
That's right.
All right, so tell me about this edging wheel we got.
All right, so this is the edging wheel that we have. This is one of probably the most common questions we get is, what happens if I get it on the sidewalks or curb? The biggest thing to do is not get it on the sidewalk and curb because it will stain it. What we have is this edging wheel, and as you can see, It's got a nozzle on either side, so you can spray from either side with the ball valve, so you can cut it off or on. We're actually going to be spraying from this side today, so I can walk in the pine needles, and I'm just going to run this right down the edge, and you'll get a nice clean edge. So if these pine needles were the sidewalk and you had that nice edge, you literally just walk this right down.
It really eliminates the cleanup.
It does, it does. And you know, if you got wind and things like that, the drift, it keeps all that from spraying on the sidewalk and all that too.
So I'm already seeing the trick to this. The application is making it look good, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. You know, it's one thing to have a good product, but the application is definitely a part of it.
So this is actually a cone tip nozzle, and you're just kind of waving it back and forth. I'll be honest with you, when I saw that trim pass, I was a little worried. I was like, man, that's light green. But once you get it out here and get it painted, it actually is getting darker and darker.
And one thing to consider too when you're doing this is it will get darker as it dries.
Wow, okay.
So a lot of people make the mistake of putting too much product down, and then they come out the next day and it's a little too dark for their liking.
It's kind of fake looking.
So it's one of those things where you can always put more on, but you can't take it away.
You can't
right?
take it away.
So,
that's right. So what we're using is just the cone nozzle, adjustable cone nozzle. And this is the one that actually comes with the flow zone and the strom that we have on the website. So that's what I'm going to be using. This right here is 8 ounces per gallon on the, is all the mulch the same?
Yeah, everything's the same. Paint, the turf paint as well as the mulch is all 8 ounces, but if you're handgunning, you can go down to 6.
Okay, you can go down to 6 if you're using a backpack. Now for a lawn care company that's going to do this day in and day out, that's a good investment.
Oh,
it's about $400 some.
Yeah,
for a DIY guy, that's probably not a good investment. Get you some cardboard and
or something, even
something to keep it off the sidewalk,
exactly.
and that kind of thing. Holy cow, that looks so good. Now, I'd have never thought about that now. Keep it off your fence. Edging out the flower beds. Of course, I blew everything clean this morning before we started, and you can't get every last leaf out of the pine needles.
So, right now, this time of year.
Yeah, just paint right over top of them. They blend right in. So let's say someone is spraying this and accidentally gets some on something they don't want it on, like a fence or whatever. It could be anything in the yard, steps, whatever. What should they immediately do?
Well, say this was all white sidewalk.
Yeah.
What you'd want to do is you'd want to wet it down with some clean water. And that way, if you do happen to get it on there,
yeah.
it won't stick to it, and you can just rinse it right into
kind of pre-soak the area.
Yep.
And that way it's kind of already diluted. If it gets on there, and it'll wash off a lot easier.
And especially for sidewalk and curb, it's one of those things where sidewalk's so porous. So if it does get in there and it's dry, it'll dry fast and it's hard to get out.
Yeah, okay. You just go right around the plants. Of course, if some gets on a plant, it's not going to hurt it at all, is it?
No, and another thing you can do is you can wet all that down too.
Yeah.
And you can just rinse it right off the leaf blade.
So anything you think you might get something on, and if you want to be extra safe, you just pre-wet it.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't get that on film.
Huh? Well, it's okay. You can paint my plants, I don't care. Something else I'm thinking is if you're commercial landscaper and you've got a very large property that takes a boatload of mulch,
right, and
you have a very good base down, you can go in there and save the customer a boatload of money by painting the mulch instead of.
And you save your back too.
Oh yeah, you save your back. Yeah, that's right. Your back and a boatload of labor. Got the turf painted and got the pine needles painted. And my first and initial thing raises two questions.
All right.
Number one, that's the first time I've ever painted turf. So obviously I got some streaking going on.
Right.
Is there a way I can fix that, or will it go away, or what's the deal with that?
If you have a little bit of streaking, it typically goes away. And the reason being is we put a surfactant into our colorants. And what that does is that helps wet out that wax on that leaf blade, and the paint just kind of, as it settles and dries, it just kind of smooths everything out. I'm sure you noticed when we first did it, how kind of streaky it was.
We went in and ate lunch and come back out, and it looks night and day different already.
Yeah.
So I imagine 24 hours, it should really kind of even out.
And one thing that you can do as well, you can add a little bit of moisture before you paint. So if you want to paint on dew, that's a great time to paint. Because the addition of the surfactant in the
that's
paint
just going to help it
with the
spread.
moisture. Now there is a fine line between too much moisture and the right amount, so you got to be careful. You don't want to be painting when the grass is like soaking wet or the ground is soaking wet, because you'll lose a little bit.
You don't want to spray after a hurricane.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
And number two, since and this kind of plays in with that, since we painted a brown turf a completely different color green, obviously the mistakes are really going to show up.
That's right.
If I took the same thing and painted fescue, rye, or Kentucky bluegrass right now, it's already green, going on green, and so your errors will not show up as bad.
Correct. Yeah. So you're gonna, you're utilizing the chlorophyll that's already there.
Yeah.
To kind of help out with the overall color. 1 + 1 = 2. Chlorophyll plus the paint is your overall product. So like you mentioned, if you're starting with biscuit brown grass, completely dormant turf, naturally you're going to need more colorant to make it the green that you want. Whereas if you're painting fescue or bluegrass, you're not going to need as much colorant because you're going to have that chlorophyll already there to help you out.
And that's paper sack brown.
That's right, paper sack
brown. That's what we call it. If I want to darken this up, come back 24 hours later and add another coat on it, and it just makes it darker.
Absolutely, and it'll clean up a lot of the imperfections that you did have. So if you have a lot of overlaps and things like that, it'll definitely clean it up. You don't necessarily have to wait a whole day. You could wait, an hour and come right back.
As long as it's dry to the touch,
you can come right back on it.
Okay. Yeah. And last question I got to ask is, I love stripes in the yard. I absolutely love it. If I wanted to get out here and mark this off with lines, with string, and go dark light, can I paint stripes in my grass?
You absolutely can.
Picasso Pete!
They do that as well. They'll paint every other 5 yards. They'll do a double pass or whatever. So you can definitely do that. Or if you wanted to, I know Bermuda's a little bit hard to stripe up as you're mowing it, but some like your zoysias and your fescues, they stripe up really well. So what happens is, if you have those patterns already mowed in, stripes that are already there, when you paint them, it just pulls them out and makes them that much more defined.
Oh boy. Well, good.
Got his mind turning.
Yeah. I got that absolutely opens the door up for a lot of cool things,
Yeah,
I guess.
sure.
So, well,
one thing we do need to talk about is cleanup.
Yes.
It's real simple. Typically, whatever equipment you're using, whether it's a backpack, Z sprayer or skid sprayer, whatever the case is, you just want to get it at the end of the day when you're done painting. At the end of the, you don't have to do it after each job.
Yeah.
Like if you're going from job to job to job, you don't have to do that.
You don't want the paint to have time to sit up and harden up.
So as long as you got clean water coming out of your nozzles and your equipment and everything, just rinse it out with fresh water and you're good to go.
I noticed y'all make a spray. Like comes in a little bottle. I've got a bottle of it.
The pigment cleaner.
Yeah.
Yes,
for
sir,
backpack sprayers or something.
Absolutely.
Somebody's like over the top anal. They can just spray that down, wipe it off, it comes right off.
I mean, I use a lot of my equipment just for painting,
Yeah.
so I'm not particularly worried about it. I give it a good freshwater rinse just to make sure the pump and the seals and the nozzles don't. But if you are a little bit what I call OCD, you definitely could use the pigment.
Well, a lot of the DIY folks that watch, they're use the same sprayer to spray the herbicides, the fertilizer, whatever. So they just, naturally they want it cleaned out.
Right.
So
There's definitely some options out there to get it, right back to the way it was.
Cool.
Pete, thank you, man.
I've had a good day.
Absolutely.
Today.
It's been fun.
This was really cool, man.
Glad you enjoyed it.
Chances are I'll probably put a second coat on it tomorrow, just when I got some time. And I've got a new boom sprayer I'm getting made.
Oh yeah.
That'll kind of speed the process up. This is 7,000 square feet. We used 1.5 gallons-ish.
Something like that.
Of the turf paint. I went through 5 backpack sprayers. I think you were right about 4 or 5.
I was at 4, yeah.
So about 9 or 10 backpack sprayer fulls for 7,000 square feet. And the pine needles, I think I got about 3,000 square feet of pine needles. And we used 2 quarts, 2 of those. So 2 backpack sprayers.
And one thing to consider when you're talking about rate is, one, height of cut. So the lower the cut of grass is, the less product you're going to use naturally, because there's less surface area.
Less surface area.
Right. The higher the cut, the more you're going to use. And then also what you're starting with. Like we talked about, if you're painting fescue, you could probably get 10,000 square feet out of a gallon.
Yeah.
If you're painting already green grass, whereas we were painting.
Because you're going to be moving quicker, and you're just kind of putting a light dusting over.
Exactly. Yeah. For sure.
Okay.
It's all about your base.
All right.
All right.
Good deal. I appreciate it, man.
Thank you, man. Appreciate everything.
Back.
Awesome.
Hey, as always, I appreciate you taking time out of your day to watch. I'll check you later. Now, typical affiliate marketing looks like this. I or someone else would supply you with a coupon code. That would get you a discount off of the product. For each sale that is made, the person marketing the product would also get a commission. We originally had this set up at a 5% discount for the buyer and a 5% commission for myself. I didn't think that was a big enough discount to the end user, so I chose to give you my 5% as well. So that makes it a total of 10% off to the buyer. And just so I am 100% perfectly clear, I make 0 commission or 0 profit off any sales made due to this video. If this is something you want to buy and you want to save some money, there's one of 2 ways. Either use the provided link below, which will automatically apply your discount, or if you don't use that link, you can use the coupon code below, and that will give you a discount as well. You can do it either of those ways.